check out ESPN Film's newly released 30 for 30 podcasts. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcasts to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Del?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And
center
we
stage on the
are
mic.
Jalen and Jacoby. What do?
Get the fine individual that has supported this program 6 years, whether radio, podcast, or television, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., exactly what they want, when they want it, more importantly, when they need it.
I think I'm into professional golf, Jalen Rose. I think I'm into professional golf. Jordan Spieth was fantastic in a transfixing final round at the British Open, but that's not really, it wasn't what happened on the course that made me fall in love with Jordan Spieth. It's what happened after. He drank from the claret jug, which is the trophy that you get when you win the British Open, and then he flew home to Texas, where his family met him at 5 a.m. And when they met him at 5 a.m., guess what they did, Jalen Rose? Covered everybody in champagne. They had a champagne party at 5 in the morning. Is 5 in the morning too early or too late to drink champagne?
Nope. No such thing as too early or too late to drink champagne. That's why they call them mimosas. And you could always say it's 5 p.m. somewhere.
Somewhere it's 5 p.m. And then there's this. Now he went to a country show and he chugged a beer out of the claret jug.
When you do a lot of traveling, there is no curfew or no time frame to sometimes when you decide to turn it up. It's all about your body clock.
I love trophies that you can drink out of. Like, that's why the Stanley Cup is so great. It has a function. It's a cup. The jug has a function. You can drink out of it. Like, low-key, the Larry O'Brien trophy, and especially the MVP trophy and the Defensive Player of the Year trophy are so whack. Like, we just accept these things as good trophies. They're terrible. If I won the MVP, I'd be like, yo, you guys can keep this trophy. I'm fine. I'm the MVP forever, but keep the trophy.
That makes sense. That's why I never won a championship in the league or Defensive Player of the Year.
Exactly. You were not motivated. Well, first of all, you weren't even in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's 450 players in the league. Where were you on the list of potential Defensive Player of the Year candidates?
A couple of years, I probably was like 275. The other 11 years, I probably was like 425.
You did a great job on Jordan in that series in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That was
the
role.
problem. That was the problem, though, is you can't show people that you can play defense because then you're obviously just not trying every other time you step onto the floor. You expose yourself.
But then you discover, you like, wait a minute, let me see. The guy that gets buckets gets headlines and gets the big deal. And taking charges and sacrificing your body and falling on the floor multiple times, that can ruin your longevity. So it was a business move. That's all.
Of course, when your agent is negotiating your new contract, they're not like, well, opponent's field goal percentage goes down when Jalen is covering. No, they're like, points, assists, rebounds, let's get some more money. Simple as that. There's also some video that came out of Chris Paul and James Harden playing pickup basketball together in Los Angeles. Now, I want to do a little X's and O's because now we're giving the podcast listeners exclusive content, as we always will. We're always going to leave you with the dope pod to step to, not just some repurposed television content. We can go a little bit deeper into this. I want you to tell me, from a basketball standpoint, X's and O's on the floor, how do Chris Paul and James Harden work together?
They're playing basketball. So a couple of things. Chris Paul is what I deem a traditional point guard. Okay. What I mean by that is he has the ability to score, but when he crosses half court, the first thing that comes to his mind usually is setting up a teammate.
Yes.
This is why when you look at his statistics, it's basically 18, 9, and basically 2 steals for his entire career. Only a handful of players can say that. Isaiah, John Stockton, and I think Magic Johnson come to mind. So with that, his strength also is playing in pick and roll. with multiple position players. You saw him do it in New Orleans with Tyson Chandler, where he'd go over the top and get the lob.
Yep.
You saw it in Los Angeles with Blake Griffin, where you pick and pop and he shoot the jump shot and or penetrate, kick it out to the corner for J.J. Redick a jump shot, or lob over the top to DeAndre Jordan. Surgical in running it, like one of the best in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And an improved scorer that can now shoot with range at a higher percentage.
Yes.
An efficient player that keeps his turnovers down, which now allows James Harden, who not many players can say this. Just think about this. Led the league in scoring before, and I go by total points, not by average. Come on, NBA, catch up.
You got to change that.
And led the league in assists in separate years. That is a phenomenal feat, which means not only can this guy, who we want to call him a shooting guard, but he's a guard. Like I've said, positions were created so a novice can follow the game. So you have two combo guards, as I like to call them, two primary ball handlers. One guy that can get you 35 and wants to be score first, but also has always been a willing passer, has always hovered around 5 to 8 assists before he played in Mike D'Antoni's system and took it to the whole nother level. So now what both of these guys going to do, oh man, they're going to make each other better. And what Chris Paul is truly going to do for James Harden, he's going to cut down his usage.
Yep.
So now instead of, when you watch a game, I always pay attention to not only the statistics, but the usage of a player. In particular, how many times they dribble. If you look at the people who dribbled the most last year, these are two of the most dominant ball players in the game. So now for James Harden, the challenge, and it's going to be a great one that he's going to welcome, is going to be to get the same points, but with less usage. So now he can be in 3-on-2 breaks, getting layups. Now somebody else can penetrate the defense and give him spot-up jump shots.
How many times last season did James Harden stand at the three-point line and get a catch-and-shoot three? It just didn't happen that much. And this year you will see that from James Harden. You could put him on the other wing and then put him in a pick-and-roll with a big, they suck the defense in, kick out to James Harden, and all of a sudden James Harden's going to be like, wow, this is so much easier when I don't have to dribble up and shoot, when I can just stand here and shoot.
A point guard who is going to get you the dimes, but obviously can score, as I mentioned. A combo guard in the backcourt with him and Harden that can lead the league in scoring and lead the league in assists. I see explosion definitely coming out of Houston by those two players, which makes me fast forward to the final game I saw of the year. And this is the last attribute I'm going to give you. And I love the toughness of Patrick Beverley. No knock to Trevor Ariza, who I think is one of the tougher players in the game. But I'm pretty sure during that basketball game, if we would have saw James Harden loafing the way he did and Chris Paul was on the team, they probably would have gotten to a fist fight during the game.
Or they could just take James Harden out of the game. You know what I mean? Because you have Chris Paul who can, they've got a team they can put around Chris Paul. And it's not like you need James Harden to succeed the way that the Cavs need LeBron to succeed. Someone should tell Kyrie Irving that.
I'm happy to see this duo together. They're going to be so very explosive. The kind of squad that when they go up against OKC or against the Warriors or against LeBron and Kyrie, because I think he'll still be there, these are the type of games that I'll buy a ticket to.
Jalen, you've never bought a ticket to a basketball game in your entire life. You have never bought a ticket. You've never bought a ticket to an NBA game. Let's be honest.
To a couple of the matchups I just mentioned, I would. I'm trying to pay to see Minnesota this year. And of course, I'll go to Detroit's game at the downtown.
Is that going to be this
Detroit
year?
Is playing downtown?
They're playing downtown this season?
Downtown!
Detroit basketball!
Yes!
Are you going to be at the opening game downtown?
I'm so excited. If I don't have to work, I'll be there. And I just can't hide it.
We'll give you the day off.
I'm talking about countdown.
You know what? You don't even consider this a job. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or an insult. I really don't. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or an insult. You don't even consider this as a job. You really don't. You said, I don't even have to work that day. We have a show every single day, Jalen. Every single day. Yes, you have to work that day. I'm going to pretend that you just love doing this show so much that you don't even consider it work.
Can you say that again for the people that text me, that call me? Can you say what I have to do again every day?
Jalen and Jacoby, every single day.
Work.
If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. We always give the people what they want. Let's listen to the first voicemail.
Jalen and Jacoby. Ethan from Minnesota. Shout out. Just wanted to say, preach here to negative Jacoby. Thank you for being against LeVar Ball. However, I see you. You're switching lanes here. Please represent those of us that cannot get on the LeVar Ball bandwagon. I can get down with Lonzo. That's fine. But LeVar, not going to be able to do it. Also, Jay-Z, incredible lyricist, not a great rapper. Shout out Jacoby.
Ethan, I'm glad you noticed. Some people, you know what? Some people listen to the show every single day, and you really get a look into my life. Because I have switched sides on LeVar Ball. I legit have. I didn't like the way that we as the media and every sports media outlet enabled him, used him for ratings, used him for headlines. Every single day it seemed like the biggest story on the ticker was LeVar Ball said. LeVar Ball said. LeVar Ball said has earned LeVar Ball millions and millions of dollars. At one of the Ball brothers AAU games, one drove away in a Porsche, one drove away in a Rolls, the other one drove, like they're making money off of this, and we have sort of perpetuated this via sort of manipulating him and using his personality for headlines and ratings. I get that. So I just kind of felt like it was kind of dirty pool on both sides, the way that we elevated LeVar Ball. However, pre-draft, the new Lakers front office was doing some research into the Ball family. And Rob Pelinka, your former teammate on Michigan, said that he went to visit LeVar Ball, and he saw LeVar Ball work out 20 local children, calling them all by their first names, inviting them all back to his home, and making them all breakfast. These people are not going to be in the NBA. He is not building relationships with these young men so he can one day be their agent and make money from them. He is just helping children in that community. And that is what made me switch sides. Because you know what I would never, ever, 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 ever do? Invite 20 children into my home. Because I don't have that in my makeup. I don't have that in my personality. And it made me look at LeVar Ball and be like, you know what? Maybe this guy isn't a bad person. Maybe he really does want to help young people. Maybe he's just got a big personality. And it took me the wrong way. Thanks for the call, Ethan.
I put this on wax multiple times. He grew up in the hood, and fortunately enough for him, his kids got a chance to grow up in the suburbs. So there's always going to be that dynamic of trying to get them to understand the journey that it took to get from one point to the other. The other thing I'm going to stress is that he has a big personality. Mm-hmm. It just so happens that he has talented kids.
And he's not putting on with the personality thing either. Like, that's really him.
It sure is. And so for the youngsters out there, Mike Tyson had Crocodile. Muhammad Ali had Bundini Brown. He basically serves as their hype man, their promoter, their engine. All of a sudden, when Lonzo was doing workouts for the Lakers, not as good. Dad was there. He balled. You know, we're going to take him. And let's double down on this. You could say he set whatever expectations on his kids that you want. All of that got lost by me when he got drafted, Lonzo, and he sat next to the Hall of Fame mogul, Magic Johnson, and he looked at him and said, I expect your jersey to be hanging up there in the rafters. So whatever LeVar has said in the past has not even come close to saying that. Nope. So I want to put that on wax. The other thing that's really important for me, hit the brakes.
Okay.
There will not be any Jay-Z slander in any way, shape, or form on this program ever. So I don't know what you and Amin El Hassan was doing the day I was gone.
First of all,
and I don't know what this caller was talking about. But what is he referring to?
Unrelated. So this is a very typical Jalen Rose thing. To be upset about something that he just saw on Twitter and didn't experience himself, has no information, doesn't understand the background, doesn't even understand what the charges are, but you've already found me guilty. That's
I'm
so
like
you.
The modern day
that is
athlete.
So you. You don't have to do any research. You don't have to listen to the podcast that your brother is on. You don't have to. That's got your own name on it and find out what happened. You just see a couple tweets and all of a sudden you're upset about it. You know what? How about you go back, listen to that episode, and then we can talk about it again? How about that? How about you do that? How about you do that? You don't even subscribe to our podcast, do you? You don't even subscribe to our podcast.
I do.
No, you don't.
Let me tell you 3 things that's not going to happen on this program. Okay. There will not be any LeVar Ball slander.
Yes, there will.
And there definitely will not be any Tupac Shakur or Sean Carter slander in any way, shape, or form. Or I'm just going to quit the program. We could just call it David Jacoby.
I've been waiting for you to quit the program for like 5 of the 6 years we've been doing it. Let me tell you something. Has Michael Jordan scored 40 points every time he's touched on the floor?
No.
No. Is he still the greatest of all time?
Yes.
Jay-Z had an off album. It's kind of soft. There's no bangers on it. There's only the Marley song is the only banger on that album. That's the only one that I really want to play when I get into my car. I'm sorry. It was emotional, and he let us inside, and I'm really glad he did it. But I'm just going to say, the beats are soft. How many soul samples are you going to put in one album?
Bam is a banger.
Yes.
Marcy Me is a banger.
Yeah. Marcy Me is all right. I like it. I'm not against it. I have
Story
a very
of
high bar. You needed Reggie to say that in your ear. You needed Reggie to say that in your ear. Now y'all teaming up against me. Someone listening knows what I'm saying. The beats are kind of soft, and there's a soul sample in every single song.
Like
Jay-Z,
I said,
you should have multiple producers on your album so every single song doesn't sound the same.
So let me
tonally.
get this right. Let me get this on wax correctly.
And we putting it on wax.
Marcy Me is a banger. Moonlight is a banger. Bam is a banger.
Bam is a banger. Bam is a banger.
I really like Family Feud.
Jay-Z is one of my favorite MCs of all time. Like, if you were to really, really, really go inside my soul and be like, who are your favorite rappers? Jay-Z is probably top 4 for me. But this particular album did not touch me. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. I'm not telling everybody else to feel that way. I don't care if you don't feel that way. I'm just saying that's how I feel.
I exclude Big and Pac from all of these conversations. The top 2 MCs for me, the top 3 are
Dylon.
Eminem, Jay, and Nas. And you could 3-card Monty on any day which one you want to put first. Those are the 3. Eminem, Jay, and Nas. Big shout to KRS-One and Rakim, too.
You got to put Snow on that list.
You got to put Scarface.
If the people want an obsessive, detailed, over-analysis of Kyrie Irving's social media, that's what the people are going to get. It looks like maybe, kind of, sort of, possibly, Kyrie Irving unfollowed LeBron James on Instagram. What does that mean, Jalen Rose?
I'm not going to risk my journalistic integrity.
You don't have much.
Getting too detail-oriented about this.
Oh, I will.
Especially when we truly can't prove if he was following him in the first place.
He was following him in the first place. Jalen, he was. Everybody follows LeBron James. Like, literally 37 million people follow LeBron James.
You're my brother from another mother. We've been friends and doing this show for 6 years. You just started following me on Twitter like 3 days ago.
I made a mistake and unfollowed you for a while, and you've never made it up to you.
And so, here's the deal. Say he did unfollow him.
Mm-hmm. He did.
LeBron has been the guy in the past when he felt some type of way about the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. He unfollowed them on Twitter.
Sure did.
He's also been the guy that put subliminals out all of the time, including one the other day with a video that we felt like was almost a shot at Kyrie, the way he probably 5 to 15 different times had to get the lyrical content right before he put it up on Instagram.
He was listening to Meek Mill, and he chose a selection of the song that was obviously a dig at Kyrie.
So why would I be following somebody that's taking shots at me? So you can't be mad at it if that did take place.
But let me say this, since I am into overanalyzing everything. If Kyrie Irving did unfollow LeBron James, which he totally did, if he unfollowed LeBron James, doesn't he know that this is going to be noticed? Like, isn't he just sort of adding more fuel to the fire? Like, if you're Kyrie Irving, don't you want this to sort of calm down so the front office people can just make calls and get you traded instead of just making more for the media to discuss regarding this silly back and forth drama?
I have 2 answers for that. Yes, and so what?
Okay. It's just silly. It's kind of childish.
So it's childish to unfollow somebody on Instagram.
Yes, it is.
I think the serious thing already is taking place. He went to the Cleveland Cavaliers organization and acknowledged that he wants to play somewhere else because he doesn't want to play with LeBron James anymore. And when you go look at say, LeBron James Instagram, do you think every player on the team follows him? Probably not.
Yes.
Do you think he follows every player on the team?
I'm going to say
probably not.
Yes.
He has a handshake for every player on the team. That don't mean he follow him on social media. But even at that, the information does not change. He's decided that he does not want to play in LeBron James' shadow anymore. Let's see if the Cavaliers are able to get fair value in a trade.
Well, they're trying to get fair value in a trade. They're trying to get some young players. There's been some rumors that the Timberwolves and the Suns, some reporting that the Timberwolves and the Suns are some people, some teams that are possibly out there. The Suns have said that they're not making Josh Jackson available. They've gone to him and said that he's not available. Could you see a Suns-Cavs Kyrie trade happen?
I was watching this program on Monday, and I was listening to the podcast. We had this exact discussion because Bledsoe is also represented by Clutch Sports.
And who's in the front office of the Suns now?
James Jones.
And you might not make Josh Jackson available now, but you could make him available next week.
And also, this is something that's gone back a couple of years. For those, since we're talking about Instagram, I remember talking about LeBron posting videos of him and Eric Bledsoe working out, getting it in. And I'm like, wait a minute. All of a sudden, he and Kyrie's relationship may not be what we thought it is. He looks like he'd much rather have Bledsoe be his point guard at the time than Kyrie. And then, like Jay and Bleak, we talked about this before, he came back to Cleveland, he helped Shorty blow out like Afro Sheen. So now his value is through the roof, so much so they had a chance to trade him for Paul George, and for some strange reason, they didn't do it. Now they're not going to get fair value in return.
So here's the thing. It seems like everybody that knows anything about the NBA, all the reporters, all the analysts, everyone's already got Kyrie going to a different team. Why is it not even on the board that they just keep Kyrie Irving and say, you know what, you're under contract, you're both professionals, we all work with people that we might not get along with 100%. The two of you need to work this out. Let's go back to the NBA Finals and hope that one of the Cavs gets injured. One of the Warriors gets injured.
Just because we're talking about it every day, that doesn't mean the Cavs are going to move him.
That's what I'm saying. If I was the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would just say, you know what, how about you guys have dinner, and then we'll go back to the NBA Finals.
Because ultimately, your value happens on the floor. And he has 2 more years left on his contract. And I'm not taking pennies on a dollar when a player comes out and says 5 different teams that he ultimately wants to get traded to. That hurts my opportunity to trade him. See Carmelo Anthony in New York City.
Yeah. So while the media and us are all obsessing over Instagram posts and unfollow and Kyrie wants a trade and this report and that tweet, quietly, the Warriors just sent a subtle reminder of their drama-free offseason. They sent out a tweet that said, officially official, Dubs re-sign Curry on Tuesday, plus Durant, Iguodala, Livingston, Pachulia, and West. Are the Warriors so good that it doesn't matter where Carmelo goes or where Kyrie goes?
It matters where they go, but the Warriors are that good. Yeah. And when you talk about this offseason, you're going to be enamored, and rightfully so, about the moves that have taken place in Minnesota. And Gordon Hayward now being in Boston, and Paul George teaming up with Russell Westbrook.
Chris Paul and James Harden.
Absolutely. But the key moves are the ones you just described. The world champions retaining Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala, Livingston, David West, and you left out something that's really important. They got their coach back during the NBA Finals last year.
Oh, I like that. Good wrinkle, Jalen Rose.
Steve Kerr continues to get overlooked in this dynamic. Yep. Now with the summer off, they're going to also hopefully have their head coach back in tow and at full strength. So the Golden State Warriors obviously are that team to beat still.
We have this. Research on 202 former football players found evidence of brain disease in nearly all of them. I believe 177 of them. That is 90% of the brains that were researched came back with signs of CTE. Jalen Rose. Knowing all of this, now we have concrete, hard evidence and research that a large percentage of football players end up with CTE. Would you let your child play football?
As a fellow Detroit Southwestern alum, Dr. Benjamin Carson, who, by the way, separated 2 Siamese twins who were connected by the head.
Okay.
I don't have to be a neurosurgeon to figure this out. If I'm running as fast as I can, hitting someone else with my shoulders and my helmet as hard as I can, for as long as, say, Pop Warner through the NFL, there's going to be traumatic damage done to my cranium, my brain. And so this is one of the risks that you take when you decide to play football. It's one of the hazards that come with the job, unfortunately.
Well, you are an uncle to my son, Quincy Jacoby. Would you support Quincy playing football?
Absolutely. Get out there, Q.
No. See, I used to feel that way. I mean, football was one of the things that changed me. I learned how to be a leader. I learned how to work in a team and handle your responsibilities. I learned so much from football. It was a forming thing that happened in my life. But I can say right now, based on this research and the problems that I've had with concussions personally, I would not let Quincy play football. Also, he's not that athletic, so, I don't think that's really on the board.
I can see Quincy being a Christian McCaffrey type out of the backfield and in the slot.
He would just be in it for the snacks, let's be honest. Jalen Rose, your NBA countdown partner, our colleague, Mr. Big Shot, Chauncey Billups, was up for the Cavs general manager job. And they kind of he took some time to make his decision and eventually decided not to take the position. He spoke on that. Let's give a listen.
It wasn't that I knew that Kyrie wanted to be traded or not, or him and LeBron had beef. I don't know any of those things. But what I do know is LeBron is going to be a free agent, and the team doesn't have a whole lot of assets in the event that he leaves. Those are the kinds of things that you look at, and you look at deeply and say, is this something that you really want to do or not?
In other words, LeBron probably leaving after this year. I ain't taking that gig.
Oh, LeBron's gone. That's what he's saying. His other way, he's like, LeBron's gone. So then I'm looking at the team, and Kyrie's unhappy, and I'm stuck with Tristan Thompson's contract and J.R. Smith's contract, and they got Kyle Korver for another 2 years. That doesn't even sound like a playoff team in the East.
And he clearly doesn't think Kevin Love is much of an asset.
Nope. Yeah, Kevin Love somewhere is like, how come no one's talking about me? How come no one's talking about me?
That's why I had to bring him up. Even you forgot him.
Yeah, Kevin Love's like, didn't I make the All-Star team? Aren't I still good, Kevin Love?
See, now I have to come to his defense because he can actually ball. And I know that the last 2 years in the NBA Finals versus Draymond Green and the Warriors, he came up small. But I appreciated how Kevin Love took his game to another level as a Cav, was an all-star, and had a terrific season.
Sure.
Getting overlooked.
Here's a question. Was turning down the Cavs general manager position the best pass of Chauncey Billups' career?
Not necessarily, because turning down the opportunity doesn't mean you wouldn't have been able to fare really well with the opportunity.
Exactly.
Look at what Sean Marks is doing with the Nets. I like the moves that he's pulling off so far in the offseason, adding Mozgov, D'Angelo Russell, adding Kraft from Portland. So you can turn lemons into lemonade, and I could say I believe that Mr. Big Shot has what it takes if given the opportunity to possibly do the same.
Mr. Big Shot looked at the lemons and was like, these are way too sour. It's going to take way too much sugar, and I don't have the time. I'm much more comfortable with Jalen Rose and Michelle Beadle behind the desk in Los Angeles than I would be working hard every day in Cleveland. Shout out to Mr. Big Shot. And now you have time to get some buckets in the Big Three. You mentioned Alan Crabb, and I'm glad you did that. The Blazers have traded Alan Crabb for Andrew Nicholson of the Nets. It is expected that the Blazers will then waive and spread Nicholson's contract, freeing them up for a little bit of cap space. Do you think they will use that cap space potentially to add a big name like a Kyrie or a Carmelo, or perhaps next season try to add somebody else?
The landscape of the league is the best team, the Golden State Warriors, has 4 all-star level players. The team they beat in the finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers, had 3. Mm-hmm. So if you look at what teams are now trying to do, in OKC, you have Russell, you have Paul George. Now they're trying to see if they can flirt with Carmelo. Same thing going on in Portland. You have Damian Lillard. CJ McCollum performs at an all-star level. Can you add another player? And so this totally makes sense for the dynamics of the Portland Trail Blazers, especially for a team competing in the Western Conference.
Well, reading all of this, and sometimes I actually do prepare for the show, it was really interesting to find out how high the Trailblazers' salary was. Like they are one of the highest salaries in the league, and they were in the 8th spot last year in the Western Conference. So now that they have this freedom, sort of, who do you expect them to add? What are some names that come up when you look at this?
Well, to change the dynamic, obviously, and you're talking about a high-level salary player, you're trying to see, hey, what's going on with Boogie Cousins? Hey, what's going on with Carmelo Anthony? They're going to need, as I mentioned, another all-star level player to take them from being a lower Western Conference seed to having the opportunity to propel themselves. And in a salary cap-driven sport, you just mentioned it. When you sign Crabbe, when you sign Evan Turner, when you sign Myers Leonard, who's a 7-foot Justin Bieber, you need those guys to ball. And so when they don't necessarily play at that level for you, it was fortunate for them that they were able to move Crabbe. I think Crabbe is actually a player, though, and I think playing in the Eastern Conference, he's going to be really productive. It's going to turn a lot of heads.
I think so too. I also like what the Nets are doing. They're like, look, we're not going to win. We're not going to win the NBA Finals this year, but let's bring in some young players. Let's get D'Angelo Russell under the tent. Let's get Alan Crabbe under the tent, and hopefully we can develop these players into a little bit of nucleus. Maybe in a couple years, add a big name and make a run at the playoffs. I think it's going well for them. Adam Silver was talking with the Blazers' C.J. McCollum for the Players Tribune, and he spoke about, wait for it, Seattle, league expansion. Let's listen.
Is anything going to happen in Seattle? Are we ever going to get a team back in Seattle?
I think it's just a question of when the right time is to seriously start thinking about expansion. Think about the state we're in the league right now, where amazing to me that coming out off of these finals, you have some fans saying, there's only one good team in the league. And I'm thinking, well, if people really believe that, even though we have 450 of the best players in the world, and 450 players can only form one really good team, probably doesn't make sense to expand in terms of dilution of talent. Now, I don't really believe that, and I think these things correct themselves. Yeah. And I don't want to put a precise timeline on it, but it's inevitable at some point we'll start looking at growth of franchises. That's always been the case in this league, and Seattle will no doubt be on a short list of cities we'll look at.
Jalen Rose, are you in favor of NBA expansion into the Seattle market?
I am. Free money for the league. Yep. More jobs for NBA players. Yep. The problem with expansion, however, is something that Adam Silver alluded to, but obviously he's not going to stress. It's the dilution of the product.
Exactly. Yep.
It's because there are only so many all-star level players. And when there are 2, 3, and or 4 all-stars on certain teams, now all of a sudden you're looking at the rest of the squads, and they're not so attractive to watch on League Pass on a nightly basis unless you're a local fan of the team.
Exactly. And when you look at your favorite NBA teams, especially the way the salary cap is structured, look at those players at the deep end of the bench. They aren't exactly going to be a huge draw. And if you continue to spread those players throughout the league, they're going to get more and more minutes, and it could make the product worse. I mean, how much of a concern is that for real?
It's a true concern because of how you just described it. The level of play, as he mentioned, these are 450 of the best players in the world. And so now you start to go from having 30 teams to 31 teams, you adding 12 more guys to the league. Look at all of the teams this year that did not have an all-star and see how they fared.
I happen to think that Portland and Seattle and the whole entire Northwest region is an underappreciated region of the country. I know you had fun when you were on the road in Seattle. I know you did. Jalen Rose. You going to give us any stories?
I'm not going to give you any stories. I don't know what the statute of limitations is. but I will say this, though. Another thing that is an undercurrent that he didn't allude to, maybe not expanding, but there's always room for teams to move if they're not able to satisfy deals where they are currently constructed.
We'll keep an eye on that. And also, Jalen Rose, I know you love statues, and we both love the statue, not the statute, the statue of limitations. Lucky Whitehead has been in the news a lot lately. First, there was some controversy about his dog being held for ransom, and then the dog was brought back. And then there was the report that he was charged with shoplifting in Virginia for stealing $200 worth of items from a Wawa. He also missed a court date in Virginia regarding that charge. The Cowboys got wind of this and then cut Lucky Whitehead. Well, guess what? It was not Lucky Whitehead that stole the $200 worth of things from that Wawa. And the police department has come out and said, we made a mistake. My bad, misidentified him as Lucky Whitehead, and the Cowboys have stuck to their releasing him from the roster. Did the Cowboys do Lucky Whitehead dirty?
It's really unfortunate for him that his name was involved in a situation that ultimately led to him being exonerated because he wasn't there. I'm disappointed in how that was handled, not necessarily by the Cowboys, but by the store and potentially by law enforcement. Because here's somebody that's on the fringe of making the NFL. He doesn't need to be in the headlines for any of the wrong reasons. And it's one thing when it's your dog and it's being held for ransom. That could be viewed as, okay, that's kind of cute.
He's a victim
we
of a
understand
crime.
where he's coming from.
He's a victim in that regard.
No question about it. But then all of a sudden, this headline comes up. They see that you missed a court case, and then they immediately just get rid of you. It's a case of truly bad luck, and it's unfortunate for him.
And here's the thing about this gentleman who said he was Lucky Whitehead when he was caught stealing from the Wawa. He knew Lucky Whitehead's address, and he knew Lucky Whitehead's social security number. Do you think that this person is potentially someone from Lucky Whitehead's life?
Possibly, especially because of the last thing you said. He knows his social security number. And also, it just kind of feeds into this element of we live in a society where people steal identities all of the time. We talked about that on this show as it related to Chad Ochocinco, for example, and somebody in Colorado doing the crime, I think at Louis Vuitton or Gucci. And so this is where you try to be as protective as you can with your identity, but there's so many things that we do. You're at the supermarket, you're at the gas station, you're shopping online. You let people into your life. There's mail. And so it's really unfortunate that he got caught up in this situation.
Do you believe the Cowboys would not have cut Lucky Whitehead if this news about the shoplifting did not come out?
If they really wanted him on the team, like you mentioned with Ezekiel Elliott, regardless of the headline, he's performing on Sunday, they'll keep him on the team. Now all of a sudden, if they wanted to keep him around longer and they still were going to cut him, this allowed them to do it sooner.
I think that's fair. There's some bad news in the NBA. Brandon Knight tore his ACL in a Pro-Am game, which brings this question to mind. You see James Harden playing in the Drew. We know that Kevin Durant loves to play in summer games. Should high-level NBA players not be playing competitive basketball in the offseason?
You have to ball in the offseason. That's where you get better. Jamal Crawford also has a league in Seattle. You could get injured working out. And so playing competitive basketball, there's one thing to do skill drills and to do workouts. And that's what old school players sometimes get frustrated with in current players, is because now this is how the game has become so specialized. You see guys that only shoot the three or that only can do certain things, as opposed to in the summer, a lot of times you get a chance to craft all of your skills and play against other elite competition and or summer league competition. So I'm definitely a fan of playing in summer league. I did it every summer.
But if you look at, we saw some video of Kyrie Irving and Carmelo Anthony playing on the same team, playing pickup at UCLA. There's famous games that happen in UCLA between NBA stars. But if you are the Cavs franchise, or if you are Kyrie's agent with all this going on, isn't there a part of you that's just like, listen, stop playing pickup basketball. You could blow out a knee, and that could ruin your career, and especially at this time that is so important in your career.
Not at all. You work really hard doing drills, you get a chance to implement them in the summer. The strength of your game, the other 14 guys on your team, they want to see that at night. Because there's a score up there, there's referees on the floor, and these games mean something. You try things in the summer. So, for example, if you're a player on the post that likes to turn over the right shoulder, in the summer you got to be working on your left shoulder. This is when you implement it. So I have no problem with players playing. Whether it's at St. Cecilia, where I grew up playing, I played at that UCLA run that you described. This is a proving ground for players in the summer, and it's also fun.
I know now you're completely washed because you play pickup with me, but when you were playing in those UCLA runs, who is a superstar that you absolutely gave it to?
I had my times to play pretty well against a lot of people.
Give me the names.
Paul Pierce comes to mind.
Uh-oh, the truth.
Shout out.
Again, I was in the league, so you should be able to get buckets. but it wasn't like people weren't giving it to me as well, including Paul. But here's what I will say.
Paul Pierce hears this. He's going to tweet at you so quickly.
But here's what I will say, though. My only exception for playing ball is can't do it on concrete. That's the one thing. I am not trying to fall. I played so many years growing up. outdoors that I am not trying to fall on that concrete.
I've seen you fall when you play basketball before. It takes like 90 seconds for you to get back up. Like,
it takes 90 seconds to fall.
Yeah, and you act like you got hit with like a sniper bullet. You check everything. You move stretching. It's like we stopped the game for like 10 minutes because Jalen Rose falls down. It's insane. Big Ten Media Day happening. All the Big Ten coaches were there smiling, and they were all suited and booted, except for one Big Ten coach. Your man, the Kanye West of college football, Jim Harbaugh, was wearing, you'll never believe it, khakis and a long-sleeve Michigan shirt. Does Jim Harbaugh even own a suit?
He owns a blazer and some pants, but it wouldn't be like him for it to be an actual suit. Number one.
Okay.
2, he's staying true to who he is and to who his brand has always been, his identity. You left out one thing. He probably had on some cleats also.
Probably Jordan cleats. Do you know what he said when he was asked about it? He said, I packed light, a toothbrush, and a good attitude. Is Michigan going to win the national championship this year, Jalen Rose?
Michigan will be in the college football playoff.
That's not the question I asked, Mr. Rose.
I would not be surprised if we're in the national championship game.
Not the question I asked, Mr. Rose.
If that does take place, we will win the national championship.
If they are in the national championship game, will you attend the game?
100% yes.
Will you get me a ticket?
Absolutely. We taking the show there.
Jason Lee, star of Love and Hip Hop, also sort of the Money Team affiliate, was asked by TMZ Sports about who Floyd Mayweather is going to bring with him to the ring. Floyd Mayweather makes some very grandiose ring appearances in his day, and he suggested that there is potential that Floyd Mayweather could bring out with him into the ring none other than Jalen Rose and Nate Diaz. Would this be one of the best troll jobs in the history of sports if Nate Diaz walked in the ring with Floyd Mayweather?
That would be great, especially considering Nate Diaz's history in beating Conor McGregor. Especially Conor McGregor was recently rocking a C.J. Watson jersey to try to troll a relationship that has gone sour between he and Floyd Mayweather. However, I would like to see Floyd Mayweather have in his corner as he leaves the locker room and heads to the ring, Barack Obama.
I think you got to have Obama there, right? What else is Barry doing? You know Barry wants to go to the fight. Floyd already said that Barry wants to go to the fight. And if you got Barack, got to have Michelle. That's it. You got to have Michelle and Barack right there. You are guaranteed to win. If I bet on Conor McGregor and he walked in with Barry and Michelle, I would just tear up the ticket right then. You cannot lose if you walk in with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama.
I just recently seen a throwback picture of Michelle Obama, and she probably was in middle or high school. For all of those that are approximately my age, you can appreciate this, if not older. The wicker chair, the brown wicker chair, I got a picture in one of those. Those is classic. You sat in one of those, it was like you were royalty.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
It's cultural.
Yep. It's time to give the people what they want.
Now you see why I stopped singing.
Because we paid somebody else to do it. I understand.
Thank you.
This is where we look at our Twitter feed and we go into our subreddit and we dig through our voicemail box. You can leave us voicemails if you call 985-80-JALEN. The first question we have is from Twitter. It's from Matthias.
Shout out.
He wants to know, do we have a Minnesota versus Boston final series in the coming years?
I like what both teams have done in all season, but no.
No. I mean, by in the coming years, you mean the next century or so? Maybe or perhaps that will happen. But it certainly looks like the Western Conference is very top-heavy at the moment. And while the Timberwolves have put themselves in the playoffs, I'm not sure they've put themselves in the pole position to come out of the West. You can see the Celtics in the final soon, though.
But also, the dynamic of that question is weighted because not only do both teams have to win their conferences, they have to do it in the same season.
Yes.
This is why I'm so steadfast that I think this is going to happen. And you didn't mention anything about The Golden State Warriors.
They exist. They're there. They still have
and
the
you
best
didn't
players.
mention LeBron James is in the East.
And also the Rockets have a couple very good guards in their backcourt.
Don't sleep on OKC.
Next question is from Scotty.
Shout out.
I love this question. Soft move or boss move? Hot sauce on your mac and cheese. I've never seen you so perplexed. I've never seen you so perplexed before.
Well, it's your mac and cheese, so I'm not mad at you for doing it, but it's not something I would do, so I personally feel like it's a soft move.
Oh, I think it's a boss move. And here's one thing I do with my hot sauces. I have a variety of different hot sauces, and I have a hot sauce to match with every type of food that I eat. I like to have, if I'm eating perhaps Mexican food, I will go with Tapatio. If I'm eating some fried chicken, I will go with like Louisiana hot sauce. I like to match it. I have a Caribbean hot sauce for my jerk wings. I like to match my hot sauce with the type of food that I'm eating. That is also a boss move.
You match your hot sauces, I'll match my wines.
Great work. This is from Ping on Twitter. He hits us up all the time. Shout to him. Shout to Ping. Quote, do you think LeBron subtweets Savannah when they are fighting?
I don't think so.
No, it's one thing when you're talking about Kyrie, you're talking about the Cavs organization, but it's Savannah, no. That's not going to play. That's not going to play. That's not going to play at all. Nope.
In successful relationships, and I say this affectionately, the woman normally holds the hammer. And sometimes when I see like the videos of them in the kitchen and LeBron and the kids going back and forth, dunking on each other and being silly, she's sitting there like, y'all know I ain't having this.
I know. Do you know what I thought you were going to say? In successful relationships, the woman is always right. Because that's how it works in my house. That's pretty much how it works. In successful relationships, the woman is always right. Moving on, now we're going into our subreddit. That is reddit.com/r/Jalen and Jacoby. I am there every single day looking at what people are talking about. Join us in the Reddit community. Question, is there hazing in the NBA? And if so, to what extent? That comes from Young Machiavelli.
Shout out.
The term hazing is probably one that should be outlawed in sports.
Yeah, our rookies treated differently and made to do things that other players don't want to do in the NBA.
Absolutely. And because there's more celebrity and there's more money involved, those are the two things that normally get taken advantage of. You see rookies probably getting clowned on Instagram and post or whatnot. You see them get stuck with dinner tabs. You're going to see them running a lot of late-night errands to GNC and Rite Aid. I've been there, done that. Also, bringing food and or beverages or just doing what you can to show that you're willing to sacrifice as a youngster to earn the respect of the vets.
What sort of late-night runs have you made in your past, Mr. Rose?
Contraceptives.
You've been made to run out and get contraceptives for a veteran on your team when you were in your rookie season?
Absolutely. And this comes with the territory. Hey, Rook, your phone should be on at all times. And so you think you being smart. Back in the day, you know, you had a beeper, then you had a big cell phone, and then you had a flip phone, and then you had a BlackBerry. Just call you on a hotel phone.
Now, I know you don't like to implicate individuals in your past, and you like to keep everything off wax, but the person that you had to run to the store for, their name wouldn't rhyme with, I don't know, Makembe Dotumbo?
You got to YouTube it. It wasn't me. I don't know.
If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. Make sure you do that. We'll put them on the show. Next, we have another tweet. This is from Adir. Soft move or boss move? Lying about your age to get a job.
Boss move, get the gig.
But what kind of job? What kind of job? I don't even understand how this works. Like, are you lying to be older? Are you lying to be younger? Whatever it is, get a job. Just get a gig. Ever since I turned 16, my mom was like, you don't get allowance anymore. You can go get a job. And I have only not had a job for like 2 weeks since I was 16 years old. Get a gig. Get a gig. Get a job. Yep. Finally, Jalen Rose, this is something that we've had to address for quite some time, okay? This is something that you did on the show that made a lot of people upset with you. And you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. If you think back to Monday's show, I asked you a very simple question. How was Power? Power is very important to you. It's your favorite show. It's basically all you think about when you're not thinking about sports. Your life is basically sports, family, Power.
Gold,
in that order.
Tommy,
yes, these
Angela,
are all you care about. You came on here, on wax, on a nationally televised show, and completely gave away the plot details to Power. The internet is so mad at you about this. It's like you didn't even think twice before you gave away a major plot detail, ruining your favorite show. As much as you enjoy Power, guess what? Other people enjoy Power too, and you ruined it for them. Do you have anything to say for these legions of Power fans and Jalen Jacoby supporters that you have disappointed?
I deeply apologize. As you know, Kanan has reinvented himself.
Are you giving away more plot points? Oh, my God. In your apology, you just spoiled it again.
But here's the thing I have to say.
Don't say anything.
I just took for granted that if you're a fanatic and it comes on Sunday, you get a chance to actually watch it all day, that by Monday that everybody would have saw it. So my bad. You could have worked midnight. You could have had a busy Sunday. Whatever reason, you couldn't have got around to it. My bad.
Anybody that's been in a very serious, professional, romantic, or just friend relationship knows exactly what you did. The I'm sorry, but you should have seen it. Jalen Rose, we're very serious journalists. We take all of these topics very seriously, so we have to be a little bit sensitive on this one. Draymond Green was involved in a sort of altercation where he went to college in East Lansing. Yesterday, the people that he was allegedly involved in the altercation with filed a civil suit against Draymond Green. What? We've all remembered the details of this, but my simple question for you is, remember, you're a very serious journalist. Does this feel like a money grab?
Yes. Yep. This is what happens when these altercations take place and you're a public figure and or you're a celebrity. It's no different than when somebody has a car accident, people pay attention to what you're driving. And all of a sudden, if they think you're driving a broken down jalopy, it's one thing. If they see you driving a fancy sports car, oh, my neck injured. Oh, my goodness. And so, again, I don't want to minimize or promote the fact that the altercation did take place, and he's acknowledged that that was a poor decision by Draymond. Yep. But at the same time, when two individuals have this altercation, you know that these lingering effects are going to take place.
If it was not Draymond Green, if it was Darryl Green, something tells me that this civil suit would not exist. Nope. We'll see how that plays out, and we'll keep an eye on it. This is something that shocked me. I found it very strange. Drake got a new tattoo. He's got tattoos of Sade on him. He's got a bunch of tattoos, no big deal. But he got a tattoo of Lil Wayne on the back of his left arm. Do you think that he will live to regret this tattoo decision?
Yep. This is tricky as somebody that has a lot of tattoos. He got a tattoo of Sade?
Yeah, I think he's got 2 tattoos of Sade, to be honest with you.
She's the bomb. Yep. This is unique because it's a couple of ways to look at it. First off, you know my theory. Like, you only can get tattooed of someone that's told you they love you at least 50 times.
Okay. I'm sure that Lil Wayne has told him he loved him at least 50 times.
What also makes this interesting is that he's the person that put him on, and all of a sudden he's become a mega star. Just parlay that into celebrity, multi-millions of dollars, and in my opinion, along with Kendrick Lamar, the top current MCs we have going in the game.
Absolutely.
So to pay tribute to him while he's still alive in tattoo form is unique, and it's something I would not do.
No.
And so I love you very much, David Jacoby. I am not getting your tattoo on my shoulder.
Exactly. That's just not happening. And here's the thing, like, if you use Lil Wayne for an example, there was a point in time when him and Baby were 2 peas in a pod, where potentially he would have gotten a Baby tattoo on himself. Now they're at odds. You have to remember, look at Kyrie and LeBron. All relationships are not forever, and Drake should probably remember that before he gets Lil Wayne tattooed on his arm. But you know what? Who am I to judge? Drake is hot. This is interesting. Also in New Orleans, Anthony Davis said he is, quote, tired of losing, and says that the Pelicans, quote, look good on paper and, quote, can't wait for the season to come and try to make some noise here in the loaded West. Will the Pelicans be a playoff team and make some noise in the loaded West, or will they just be, as Anthony Davis said, good on paper?
They're going to be an improved bunch. I don't think they're a playoff team. On this program, we basically acknowledged 6 of the 8 playoff teams from last year will be back in.
Yes.
The Utah Jazz, after losing Gordon Hayward, and the Memphis Grizzlies, shout out to Coach Fizz, who I think did a terrific job. Those 2 teams will be out.
Yep.
The 2 teams that we replaced them with, Minnesota and Denver. So therefore, I don't think the New Orleans team will be in the playoffs, but they will be exciting to watch.
Here's the thing. You know I like drama, right? And I love storylines, and I love all this drama with Kyrie. I could see this happening. The Pelicans could be disappointing. Even Anthony Davis, while he was saying these things, said that we have to work out a new offensive system, and he sort of hinted that there are some changes. They brought in Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo has not always been the easiest teammate to get along with. He's not always been the best player to get along with his coaches, and I could see this going south pretty quickly with the Pelicans. Boogie starts getting upset. Rajon Rondo starts getting upset. The team is below expectations, and what does that lead to, Jalen Rose? Trade rumors. So I am secretly kind of ruining, as much as I love the players in this team and I love the city of New Orleans, I'm secretly kind of ruining for this all to fall apart. And we could see Boogie Cousins get shipped off to another contender and potentially to a team in the Eastern Conference, potentially a team that, I don't know, wears green, or maybe a team that plays in New York City. Sure, those just happen to be my 2 favorite teams in the NBA. But could you see the Pelicans being lower than expectations and then shipping Boogie off to another team?
I don't think the expectations are going to be what leads to him actually being moved. It's the fact that they probably realize that they won't be able to sign him long term.
Yeah.
So based on that, because I think they're going to be productive. He and Anthony Davis going to be putting up 20 10s and a couple of dimes. They're going to be out there doing work. The thing is, however, he's going to look around the landscape of the league and be like, man, the Warriors, the Rockets, OKC, how can I be down? And so is he going to be able to team up with a LeBron James, possibly in Los Angeles?
Ooh, talk dirty to me.
Or is he going to be able to create some sort of special synergy like we've seen happen in Minnesota? And so based on that, is he going to try to now wait it out because he doesn't control his own destiny by not signing, and so allow them to trade them to where they want him to go? But the team that hopes to acquire him is going to be one that hopes to re-sign him. So that gives him a position of power. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And then, as you mentioned, the Boston Celtics, keep your eye out for them. They have a lot of assets.
I love the idea of Boogie Cousins on the Celtics or the Lakers. That's it for us. Jalen Jacoby will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m., not 2 a.m. on ESPN 2.